Alright, Junkies, welcome to the inaugural flight of Junky Airlines. This is Junky Airlines Flight 1. I am your captain, Captain Rizzo. We just departed Austin Bergstrom Airport, passing through 3,200 feet. We're westbound. We're going to Fredericksburg, Texas. Tango 82, Gillespie County, where they have the most awesome diner right there in the airport you just taxi up to. Great breakfast, great lunches. It is lunchtime, so we're going to grab the big-ass bomber burger there.
65 Charlie, proceed on course.
On course, 65 Charlie. And it is going to be awesome. That's all I can say about that. But I'm glad you guys are coming along for the ride. It is going to be an awesome adventure. I plan on taking you on a lot more adventures as we go along in this junky adventure together. Oh, what a beautiful view of Austin, Texas we have here. Looks like there's little scattered clouds up in front of us here. We'll climb above those. It's already nice and cool. We're at about 4,200 feet. We're climbing up to 6,500 feet.
We're with 3 Echoes here, deviating left for clouds. 3 Echoes here, ready.
Departure Honda Jet 71 Tango Sierra off San Marcos, turning 360.
I'll go ahead and flip that autopilot master on.
Contact line maintain 12,000.
In a moment here, we'll start put it into GPS track mode, and we'll track our
12,000 looking for track.
GPS. Well, you can take the shoulder strap off now. It is certainly very smooth air up here. It looks like we're at about 65 degrees of air coming in on these vents.
258-158, Austin departure, radar contact. One thing is here, traffic no factor, proceed direct to payday.
Direct payday, one thing is check.
And we're making a whopping 78 knots over the ground. I'm going to kind of lower our nose.
65 Charlie, you're clear of the class Charlie. Radar service terminal squawk VFR, change of advisory frequency approved.
1200 to advisory, thanks for your help, 65 Charlie. Alright, so we get to squawk 1200 now.
Centurion 36 kilo, contact.
And we're going to turn the radios off for a moment. We're obviously being very cautious, keeping our eyes outside the airplane. And once we get closer to Fredericksburg, we're going to do a few maneuvers on this flight. Somewhere between Austin and Fredericksburg, I'm going to film a couple of just the tip sequences. And those will come out in other videos. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Just the Tip, there's a little series of tips I used to post for flight simulator flyers. That's where I come from. I was a home flight sim nerd, or a junkie as you might say. I was a big X-Plane man, I can't speak today. I was a big X-Plane fan. And, you know, I was a Mac user, so that was basically my simulator option. And I really loved it, grew to enjoy it, and made a lot of friends there, and I really enjoyed it. It paved the way for me to do what I'm doing now, which now I am a instrument-rated private pilot. I just started my commercial training, and hopefully one day be a CFI, CFII, MEI, you know, the whole alphabet soup of pilot ratings. And so yeah, so it's the beginning of my lifelong journey, and home flight sim definitely kind of paved the way. So anyways, I made a series of videos back in the day to help some home flight sim people learn to fly better. But now that I have a real airplane, I'm going to kind of do the same thing, but in real airplanes. And so it's a little series. You'll see them posted relatively frequently. They're going to be a whole lot shorter than these little Junky Airlines flights, which are more of kind of a highlight reel of a whole entire adventure that I go on. Where Just a Tip, you know, 4 minutes, maybe 10 minutes on the long side of things, but relatively short, and they're going to cover just a quick tip of what I've learned flying. Definitely not an instructional video, but some things that could help you out if you're a home flight sim user, or maybe a real pilot, just some little tips, maybe an alternate way of thinking on something. But of course, if you're flying real airplanes, operate the plane safely according to how you were taught. But you know, some of the upcoming Just a Tip episodes that we'll be filming will be the using this whiskey compass here to do compass turns. It's kind of a unique thing to do. Definitely a little interesting. We're going to do a slip to land. We're going to even talk about some simple stuff like kind of the procedure I use to level off at cruise, which is, some people kind of fumble with kind of how to handle those items, but I found a little trick that makes it pretty easy and simple. Let's see what else we have. We even have some things that will happen not in the airplane. For instance, how I use ForeFlight to pre-flight, my flights, everything from checking weather, what frequencies I'll be using, potential approaches, things like that. So we'll dive into some of that, and as well as I'm not leaving all you simulator nerds alone. I do have a couple of simulator sessions that I'm going to do in a Redbird FMX, and we're going to talk a little bit about using simulators for flight proficiency and training. So that and a lot more in an upcoming Just a Tip episode just for you. All right, so we're leveling off here at 6,500 feet. And just kind of accelerating to the smoking fast speed of about 105 knots true. That's what this little warrior does. This is a 1976 Warrior, PA 28151. Originally came with a 150 horsepower engine, but it has now been upgraded to the 160 horsepower engine. Woohoo! So we do about 105 knots true at 65% power. And then also some other aircraft you'll see me fly entering the flying club is we have a 1978 Archer, PA 28181. That's 180 horsepower. Very similar to this plane. It has a Garmin 430 WAS in it. So a little different avionics package. And we also have a 1971 Cardinal RG. Kind of a unique little bird. I actually haven't done my first flight in it yet. I am using it for my commercial training. And so far, if everything holds up, scheduling and weather-wise, should be flying that on Tuesday for the first time and get my complex endorsement. I've already done the ground training for it and all that, but start my commercial training, get my complex endorsement hopefully Tuesday. So you'll probably start seeing the Cardinal prop come up in some flights as well too, since I'll be flying that a good amount over the next couple of months doing my commercial training. All right, so we're nice and level, 6,500, pretty much hands-off flying right now. We're smooth air just above this little scattered layer below us, a little thicker that way, not much though. It kind of gives you the illusion that it's really thick, the further it got to the horizon, but pretty mellow scattered layer. And kind of lean this guy, just a little rich a peak. All right, so we're showing about 49 nautical miles to Fredericksburg. It's probably going to be a pretty busy day. Let's see, quite a few aircraft here on ForeFlight and on the 650. Most of them are staying a lot lower than I am, but just enjoying the sights, the best part of flying. All right, so I'm going to skip ahead. There's not going to be much going on between now and Fredericksburg, so I'm going to sign you guys off on Junky Airlines Flight 1 for the moment. We'll, through the magic of editing, take you a little bit closer to Fredericksburg, and then, of course, we'll show you that monstrous bomber burger that we score there. All right, see you guys in a second. All right, Junkies, we fast-forwarded. We're now about 27 miles from Gillespie County. We're still at 6,500 feet, got a little bit further to go before we start our descent. It's starting to get a little bumpy up here, but that's pretty typical even up at 6,500 feet in Texas. Even though it's October, it's still pretty much a damn summer here. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and pick up our weather there. I'm expecting a decent amount of traffic. It's a pretty good day for flying, and this is a very popular destination for general aviation pilots. So let's pick up the weather over there in Gillespie. Or not.
Gillespie
There
County
it is.
Airport.
Automated weather observation 172-9er. Zulu weather wind 210 at 7. Visibility 103,600. Scattered temperature 28 Celsius. Dew point 17. Altimeter 29er 79er. Remarks. Density altitude 3,700. Airport information.
All right, so 210 at 7. Now the runway here is 14 and 32. So it's favoring barely 14, and that's the calm wind runway there. It's kind of the normal runway. It also has a right traffic pattern. So we're about to flip over to the common traffic advisory frequency. Listen to those clowns down there, see what kind of madness they have going, and we'll try to follow the lead, maybe. All right, so let's listen to what they are saying.
Temperature.
Now, this particular frequency serves a few different airports, so we may hear more than just Gillespie County there. It's also kind of take back.
Okay, thank you, sir. We're going to enter the left downwind for runway 31, 3 Charlie Tango. Thank you. You got that radio station working at the field? No, correction.
All right, so about
left downwind for runway 13.
7 minutes or so before we descend. And so far, no traffic calls down there. I see plenty of stuff here on the 650 of planes around it. Hard to tell who's doing what, though. We're still pretty far zoomed out. Well, let's see if it gives me a better idea here. We'll trying just to zoom in over the Fredericksburg area a little bit. I see, probably within about 10 miles of the airport, 1, 2, 3, 4 aircraft, and then maybe 5 and 6 a little further out. I can't really tell if anybody's in the pattern or transitioning. It looks like these are all pretty high.
Traffic bearing 621.
Pretty high on the altitude.
10 miles to the east of Depew. Flying a practice approach, RNAV 14, full procedure, end toward low approach, missed approach only, forward traffic.
That was a very detailed advisory call there. Which you want to be smart. You want to give all the appropriate information, but not too much information. And sometimes when you're doing kind of a weird procedure like that, it's tough. I can't complain about that because I've had some pretty...
traffic, King Air 313 Charlie Tango. We'll be entering the left downwind runway 13 Cthulhu.
All right, not Gillespie. I've made my fair share of crappy radio calls, so... And without a doubt, if you subscribe to this channel and watch more of these videos, I guarantee you will certainly hear some interesting radio calls of mine. In general, I'm really comfortable on the radios. Spent a lot of time on computer flight sims and on virtual air traffic networks, both free and premium ones.
November County, November 67300, flying on top of airfield at 4,500 feet.
But overall, it's not uncommon to have a brain fart as a pilot. As soon as you key up that mic, it's like your IQ drops like 100 when you push that button sometimes. And of course, you practice, and hope you never do it. But it will happen every once in a while. All right, so as we're getting here a little bit closer, a few more minutes before we start our descent. I still haven't heard any traffic down there in Gillespie, which is kind of interesting, considering I was expecting it to be pretty busy. Now, kind of on the later end of the airport diner peak time, where it tends to do great breakfast, kind of the early lunch on Sundays. But
Cthulhu traffic, King Air 313 Charlie.
Still be a little bit of a crowd.
Left downwind runway 13 Cthulhu.
People always talk, oh, do you land in a crosswind in a crab or the wing low method? I kind of do both. I'll sit in the crab up until kind of a shorter final because it doesn't take a lot of, pressure inputs or anything like that. It's pretty mellow on the body. And then as I get a little closer, that's when I'll put in the cross controls and land that way.
413 Echo Sierra, 45-degree entry, right downwind, 14, stop and go, Gillespie.
All right, so that airplane that took off before us in Austin, but they're landing here, but they're just doing a stop and go. It's a aircraft that belongs to a flight school, so a lot of training happens in that one. Matter of fact, I have flown 413 Echo Sierra a few times. I've got that plane in my logbook. It's actually where I started my private pilot training. So he's entering a 45 downwind for 14. So he probably went kind of the long way around the airport to do that. I'm listening. I haven't committed to how exactly I'm going to enter in. The 45 is kind of the way it explains it in the AIM. I'll always do that on a busy pattern. Sometimes I'll slightly modify that if the pattern is not too busy.
Traffic, 413 Echo Sierra, midfield right downwind, 14, stop and go, Gillespie.
So right now he's the only one I've heard in the pattern, and kind of as we get a little closer, I may just enter in on that downwind. I may swing out wide if I need to give space and come in on the 45. So we'll see. Anyways, it is time to start our descent, so we'll richen the fuel up a little bit. Pull the power back a few hundred RPM, maybe about 2200 RPM. And we'll just let the plane go into its descent. See what kind of descent we get there. I'm looking for about 700 feet a minute.
Gillespie traffic, 739 Mike Yankee, taxiing runway 14.
All right, there's another airport at Gillespie. He's taxiing to 14. So he may be airborne by the time we get there. So we'll just keep an eye out for that. See, these are things as a pilot you really got to do. You have to
traffic bearing 61,
really listen to the other pilots talking, build that mental picture where people are. So that 3 Echo Sierra, he's probably turning base. About then we'll hear his call pretty soon. Then you got that guy who's taxiing to 14. So, you know, kind of predicting the future, my guess is Echo Sierra is going to do his stop and go.
Campbell traffic, jump.
He'll get on the go. Then that plane taxiing to 14 is going to take off. So I'm kind of building a mental picture, not only what things are happening now, but what's happening in the future. Very important not only to stay ahead of the airplane and your avionics and control of the airplane, but to stay ahead of the whole entire situation happening around you. I need to increase our descent just a little bit here. Couple little tiny scattered clouds up here. We just want to make sure we get down on those beforehand. All right, so we're 12 miles east of Fredericksburg. We'll make our initial call here in a few miles. And the airport elevation here is 1,700 feet. Traffic pattern altitude of 2,700 feet. We're actually going to stop at 3,000. Maybe 3,500, depending on how quick we get down there and how busy the pattern is. All right, getting below these little scatter clouds. I can feel through the vents here, the air just all of a sudden got a lot more humid. Definitely a little rise in the temperature. All right, passing 5,000 feet.
739 Mike Yankee, departing runway 14, Gillespie.
I'm going to go ahead and make a call here to Gillespie County.
Gillespie traffic, 413 Echo Sierra, just departed, turning to the east, leaving the area, Gillespie.
All right, so I got a couple of people maybe heading this way. I'll let them know. Gillespie County Warrior 65 Charlie, we're 10 miles to the east, 4,700 descending, inbound Gillespie.
Short file 31, mechanical traffic.
Denver County, November 67300, flying at 4,200, southbound departure of...
And I didn't tell them exactly how I was going to fly this yet, just because I'm still trying to get a better picture, but here in a couple of miles I'm going to commit to something so they're aware of what I will be doing. And it is bumpy. And I'm actually going to hold at 4,000 feet so I can give these guys a little space. And
Gillespie traffic, 739 Mike Yankee, exiting pattern at southeast. Gillespie.
All right, we'll level off here at 4,000.
Gillespie County Warrior 65 Charlie, 7 miles to the east, level 4,000, overfly the field, make a right downwind 14 Gillespie.
All right, so what I'm going to do, so I'm going to overfly the field, kind of towards the departure into the runway, kind of right over the departure numbers, and then enter in a 45, enter in a right downwind for 14. It does not appear that there's anybody else in the pattern. And I like to do that when it's a clear pattern. If there's multiple aircraft in the pattern, I'll kind of swing around the airport as appropriate and enter the 45 downwind. All right, keeping an eye on these. We do have one plane that's coming out back this way, so should probably be below us, but I'll give another call here in just a few miles. And go ahead and put on our shoulder straps. Getting a little bumpy. We're going to be entering the pattern soon, so... Oh, man, this inertial reel sucks. Alright, so hopefully I don't screw this up for you guys, because we're going to have a good crosswind landing. I mean, pretty much just straight up 7-knot crosswind component. And with that in mind, I'll probably only do... Well, I'll give it a feel for it. I'll go to flaps 2. Oh, there it is. Wow. Plane's nice and close. All right, once we pass him, we can drop down, so. And there was one other aircraft said departing southeast. That shouldn't be a factor based on where we are. Yeah, he had us, that's nice. And I don't see anybody out there, nobody on the fish finder.
Gillespie County Warrior 65 Charlie, 3 miles to the east, overfly the field at 3,000 feet, entering a right downwind 14, full stop Gillespie.
All right, so we're descending now. We're going to overfly the field about 3,000 feet. Traffic pattern altitude 2,700. I don't see any movement on the ground. I don't see anybody on the approach side, departure side, downwind side. Everything's looking clear out there. I'm going to start slowing us down a little bit. About 2,000 RPM. This is a kind of a unique sight picture. Over here, it's probably going to be hard to see on camera, but the terrain kind of slopes up ever so gently on the approach side of 14. So you always feel, you know, by the ground right below you that you're too low, because your elevation above the ground seems to stay kind of constant, even though you're descending. It's a weird sight picture. Remember the first few times I landed here, it took me a while to kind of figure that out. I was like, man, it looks great in front of me, but my peripheral's telling me otherwise. So, all right, so we're just over 90 knots clean. All right, we're right over the field here on the departure end. Kind of, I like to fly right over the 3-2 numbers, or a little bit closer to the center than that. Have a nice view of the departure side. Nobody taxiing, nobody about to depart. Got a nice view of the windsock as well too. So it's a right to left crosswind. Almost direct. And about right, about 7 knots or so.
Gillespie County Warrior 65 Charlie, over the field, making a right downwind 14, full stop Gillespie.
Just kind of flying out a little perpendicular. And if anything on this one, I like to do a little bit wider downwind.
Traffic, Sirius 5 Charlie Tango will be making a right turn to heading of 311, leaving the pattern. Kerrville.
Kerrville, that's where Moonies are made. Not far from here at all. All right. Pretty much rolling out right on our downwind, right at midfield. It's nice. 90 knots, feels good. Kind of nose pointed towards the crosswind a little bit. We'll go ahead and drop that power, do our first notch of flaps. Gumps check, complete. And this little bit of terrain pops up a pretty good amount here. And it's about where you kind of make your base turn. And I can really see the crosswind on my ground track here.
Gillespie County, we're 65 Charlie, right base 14, full stop Gillespie.
All right, so. All right, we're going to put in our second notch of flaps here, a little nose down trim. And we'll start our turn a little early because we got a good tailwind right here. So we'll start our turn a little early.
Gillespie County, Warrior 65 Charlie, final 14, full stop Gillespie.
We're a little high. Just pull that power back. Yeah, even starting early, I did kind of do a shallow turn. The wind really pushed us off here, so have plenty of time to catch back to the center line here. I really need to keep that nose into the wind anyway, so. All right, using that rudder to kick the nose back. We'll bring that right wing low. Adding a little power here. Really dancing on the pedals. My target's about 70 knots on here and I'm a little fast. Really picking up some speed there. Wow, that was a tough one. Whew. I probably should have landed with one notch of flaps. Now, it was really bumpy down there. I caught a nice little updraft, or a thermal kind of coming up as I was crossing over the cement, or asphalt, and it gave me a little more altitude, and I was late bumping in the throttle. So I planted that one kind of firm.
Gillespie County, Warrior 65 Charlie, clear, 14, Gillespie.
So a little firmer than I like, but it was on the center line. It took me a split second to get that directional control down because of that firm. There's no bounce though, so it wasn't too firm. And, but anyways, a lot to learn on every landing. That was without a doubt a challenging landing. I think for most people that would have been hard to stick that one. Unless, of course, you're Captain Jeff, and then, you know. All right, so here we are at the Airport Diner in Gillespie County, Fredericksburg, Texas. We're going to get ourselves a awesome bomber burger. Thank you guys very much for joining us on Junky Airlines Flight 1. Hope to see you around soon. Make sure you hit subscribe because our videos are awesome. And we'd like to see you back again soon. All right, you guys take it easy, fly safe. See ya.
Gillespie traffic, Cessna November 936 Sierra, taxiing on to active runway 14.
Alright, junkies, I just had one badass bomber burger and some onion rings here at the Airport Diner in Fredericksburg. Hop back in the Warrior, head back to Austin. Hope to see you guys on the next flight. See ya.